Start with the chanting first. And yeah. Om Sahna Bhavatu Sahnau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Gananam Tva Ganapatigam Havamahe Kavim Kavinamupamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrinvannotibhi Siddhasadhanam. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gururev Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Okay, we are starting today's class on the Nyaya Sutras. This is the 19th class. So good, because of Clubhouse we are able to number the classes. So we are on to the second chapter, part 2, right? So Nyaya has effectively 10 chapters divided into 2 sections each. So we have each each section, if you consider as a separate chapter, then we have 10 chapters, or you can say 5 chapters with 2 parts each. So today we are starting the second chapter, part 2. So serially it would be the 4th chapter. So second chapter, part 2. Just so that you don't get confused, when I share this on the screen, the book that you are also using, I'll just do it to explain to you. So if you can see the Nyaya Sutras, it's numbered properly everywhere, but in this particular book, you can see the first sutra is number 211. So actually it should be 221. This is second chapter, part 2, and the first sutra, right? So we are going to go ahead with what we started last week. In last week, we finished this second chapter, part 1. So at the end, I told you we just made a start with this chapter. We just read the first sutra, and that first sutra, I told you, it is basically telling about how in the previous chapter we first understood the pramanams, the means of knowledge, and we established that they are the definition given for them rather is proper and correct, right? So that definition, for the definition to be thorough, the author uses this what we call process of Purva Paksha and Uttar Paksha. You can consider it as a person who is joining uh, and uh, trying to examine a situation, try to examine a proposition. And so this uh, when this person is examining a proposition, he raises certain questions against it. He raises certain doubts, or he will say that what you are saying is not correct or not logically valid. So the one who is establishing his theory, he has to give proper reasons, right? So basically, it is also a technique used by the writer himself to bring up all the doubts that are related to the theory, and then he will answer them so that the definition becomes flawless, right? So in the second part, we'll look at another unique uh, feature of the Nyaya Sutras, or rather I would say all Darshan Shastras, which I repeatedly tell all of you that these are not opposed to each other. They are only merely trying to define different sides of the same reality. So when we do that, what is the basic thing? We accept someone has something different to say. We say, yes, you might be right, but maybe what you are saying can be included within what we have said, or maybe you are talking about a separate reason. How? Because in this part that we are going to see shortly, what does the objector come up with? The objector comes up with the with the objection that you have named 4 kinds of pramanams. you have named. So what are the four pramanams? They are Pratyaksh pramanam, then you have Anuman, then you have Upaman, and then you have Shabd. So all these four you have named and you have answered all doubts regarding them. But he says there can be four more types of pramanams. Why only four? There can be a total of eight, right? So I have told you earlier also in different systems, some will use two pramanams only. They will merge the rest into the two. Some will use four, some will use three, some will use five, some will use six mostly. So here another two are added. So here the Purva Paksha or the author himself, you can say, he brings in four more pramanams which can be named. Four more pramanams. So what is the process Nyaya will use here? Firstly, it will say that those four pramanams you are naming are right. They are okay. They are also ways of knowing things. But the thing is that you can merge them into the ones that I have already named. You can merge them. And what is the second argument? The second way is he is establishing that those pramanams also are means of knowledge. So even the opponent is saying something, he's not totally disregarding him. He is in fact helping him establish that those four are also valid means of knowledge, but they can be merged into the remaining, into the first four. So what are these four? We can just look at the first sutra so we can understand, right? So let's read the first sutra. I'll try to split it up so you can catch the words separately, because this is a single single samas. The whole word has been joined together, so it has been made into a single word. So if it is na chatushtam arthapatti sambhava abhava apramanyat. So if you read it slowly and separately, na chatushtam here arthapatti sambhava abhava apramanyat, right? So this says na chatushtam atiye arthapatti sambhav abhav apramanyat. So he says that you have named four means of knowledge, four right means of knowledge, four pramanams. So but we feel that there are four more, because one of them is ati here, something that has been handed down to us from history, from our old tradition. Then arthapatti inferring from the effect you infer the cause. So this is reverse of Anuman, where from the cause you infer the effect. Here from the effect you infer the cause. So what is the uh, basic process of Arthapatti? We'll look at later on. And then then you have Sambhav or probability, something that can probably happen. And then non-existence, Abhav, non-existence. So these are also four means of knowledge, right? So he says that these are also being asserted here. So what do you think about these four? You have named only four. So what are these? So if we just look at a basic, understanding of these, then he says na chatushtam. So atiya. So what is the first one? Atiya. Atiya is itihas, coming from itihas. So we call in Sanskrit what this is a tadhit pratyay, a word that is added at the end to bring a change to the original word. So in this, in a sense that we say something belongs to something, in that way we add an a at the end of the word. But what does the a make where does the a take effect? In Tadhit Pratyay, it changes the first letter. It changes the first letter. So how it changes the first letter is, it will add to the first letter and it will be added, and there it will make a change. So for example, if you say Dashrath, so Dashrath is the father of Rama. So then we add the Tadhit Pratyay. Then it will become Darsharath. So A will be added there. So A will be added, so that then it becomes the Darsharath. So what does it mean? The Dashrath's Ka, or belonging to Dashrath. So it basically indicates Dashrath's son. So that is, who is that? That is Rama. So Dashrath is King Dashrath, and Darsharath is Rama, Bhagwan Ram. In this way, it is used like for Pritha. Then Pritha is Kunti. Then Kunti Putra is Partha. So Pritha में शुरू में री लगता है. There is a re in the beginning. Re you add a. So the rule for Sandhi rule is re plus a is r. So it becomes Parth. So in this way, different, like Indra, you can say Indra, that Indra, his Vajra is called Indra, belonging to Indra. So A will add to E in the beginning, A plus E will become I. So I is Indra. So that A plus E becoming I is the word, it is the sandhi that is used here. So it is here you are getting this tadhit pratyay. So na chatushtam etihi. So itihas, A plus E in the beginning becomes I. So Atyahasik, yeah, Atiya in short. So he says there is another means of knowing, that is Atiya. Atiya is something that has been said by uh, historical historical people, those who are mentioned in the Itihasas, like Ramayana, Mahabharata, etc. So all these are coming under the testimony given by those people at the year. So that whatever is mentioned is in those itihasas, we accept as truth. We accept as it happened in certain point of time. So, so we accept the testimony of those people. And itihasa will always be written by the rishis, the ones, the realized ones, or the people with very high integrity. That is why we accept their word for truth. We do not accept any common person's word as itihas, because it will be subject to his own bias. So that is why we do not accept under itihas the things said by any commoner, or even just an academic person, right? So he will have to be of the highest standard. So for that, atiya is considered a means of knowing, because what has been said in the atiya, in the itihasa, it is accepted as true today, and we follow it also in the same way, whatever instructions are given there. So that is one, that is also one pramanam, we accept it. Then the next one is arthapatti. So in arthapatti also, what is happening is we are looking at the effect, and from that we are inferring a cause. So we are looking we went to sleep at night. So I've explained this earlier, you would remember from the Tattvabodh class, but those who are new, they can understand from here. So when we are looking at arthapatti, then arthapatti is also another means of knowledge, another pramanam. So what does arthapatti do? Arthapatti helps us to infer the effect, infer the cause from the effect. So if you went to sleep late at night, you saw outside there was no rain, the roads were dry, and then you woke up in the morning, and when you woke up, you saw the road is wet. So what do you infer? You infer that there is there was rain at night. So there is a flaw here. So I will not mention it. I think you can guess it. But this will be taken up in the subject matter also, in the text also. So in this way, from arthapatti, you can infer. So that is another means of knowing. So I'm keeping it in short, but I think you will get the gist. And then you have atiya ke baad arthapatti, then sambhav. So something that is possible. So a possibility you accept that it might not be happening right now, but it can happen sometime in the future. So if the possibility is there, you can say, yes, this is something that can happen sometime when the right conditions are available. So if you are saying that right now, um, I need to have some food. Let us say idli. So then I have with me rice, right? And I have fuel, and I have a place where I can cook. So I have also got water. So then you know that with these ingredients I can make. So it is somehow. So idli is not there, right? So idli is not there still, but then you can predict that it is possible for me to make it. So that is sambhav. You can use it for a lot of things. I'm just giving a simple homely example. And then next is abhav. So in abhav also, we'll see later also in more detail, but abhav is something that with absence of something, you can ask for something, you can predict something, or you can indicate something. So how do you indicate something with nothingness? So there, what is the method? The method is, like if I tell you, go to the kitchen and there are two pots there, bring the one that is not red. So the one that is not red, it might be like uh, brown color, or it might be painted some color of blue or green. So whatever is not red, you will become. So that is abhav. Abhav is you are asked to bring something without naming its characteristic, right? So in this way, without mentioning, you can indicate something, right? So that abhav is also another means of knowing, a fourth one. So when we are looking at these four, what are the basically, how can we understand them as separate, or are they separate, or are they really not? That is what is being examined in the text. So we'll go into the next sutra, second one, right? Just bring this on screen. Okay. So what does this say? Shabd atiya अनअर्थांतर भावात अनुमाने अर्थापत्ति संभवात अभाव अभावानाम अनंतर भावात च प्रतिषेध. So what this is saying is, this is no contradiction, since this atiya or ऐतिहासिक पुरुष वचन atiya, then that can be included in atiye anantar bhavat anumane. It can be included in anuman, and then uh, shabd atiye anantar bhavat, shabd, it can be included in shabda. So within shabda you can include atiye. And then arthantar bhavat anumane arthapatti sambhav abhav abhavanam anantar bhavat cha pratishedah. So when we are talking about the four of them, then we say it is actually no contradiction that there are four more. Actually, they can be included in atiya. Here the word, if you can read, is written rumor, but actually we don't call it rumor. We call it our history, itihas. So this is a English translation done by someone. So maybe they use it in that word. But if you use the word rumor, then the whole effect of the word will be lost. Atiya. Okay, so atiya is basically historicity. So historicity, we say, is included under Shabda Pramanam. And the remaining three that you're talking about, so if you are saying that Arthapatti, Sambhav and Abhav, then they will be included in the category of inference in Anumanam. So so he's saying that whatever the four new things you feel you have come up, we can easily collapse them into the already named categories so far, the four categories that we have named. So the Pratyaksh, Anuman, Upman and Shabda. So if we take the last two are Shabda and Anuman. So within Shabda, you can include Atiya. So that Itihas Vakya can be included in Shabda. Right? So, so basically, if you say that itihas, then itihas is something that has been said by a historical person. So it is considered as a verbal testimony only. And verbal testimony, in fact, is the real import or the real meaning, the जो सही में अर्थ है वो शब्द का वर्ब वही है कि किसी ने एक साक्षी होते हुए किसी वाक्य को कहा, I observed something and hence this is my report about it, and so if the person is trustworthy, we accept it. So easily you can see that at the year we say why we accept something as itihas. I said earlier also that itihas is accepted because in that we are accepting testimony of only the trustworthy persons. Trustworthy person only can come under itihas. And in Shabda also, if you remember, we use the same term, that for Shabda also we accept the words of a trustworthy person. It can be a rishi or it can be a person of high moral character like Bhagwan Rama, then Krishna and so on. So all these are the main characters in the itihasas. So we accept their words. So if you read, then all these itihasas are being narrated by someone. They are narrated by someone. So if we look at the Mahabharata, then they are also Parashar Muni, Janmaje. They are all there who are listening, narrating, and that is being done there. So similarly, Ramayana, Valmiki ji is narrating. So all of these are narrated by some Rishi Muni who is considered of high integral character, and so that comes under Shabda Praman only. There is no, we say, separation from this. So though there are four pramanams only, Atiya will come under Shabda Praman. And then if you look at the remaining three, then if you are looking at simply Arthapatti, Arthapatti we say again it's the same thing only. If you are inferring cause from effect or effect from cause, basically you are inferring something that is not there from something that is there. It can be the reverse, it can be from cause to effect or effect to cause. That's arrow does not matter, right? In this we say it is a two-dimensional model. It goes both ways, right? So if we say uh, from A B is produced or B comes from A, you can put a like in chemistry we have this double arrow going both sides for a reaction that can go in either direction. So this is what we are. This is the term that we are using here also in the case of arthapati. So arthapati also we can include there. So like there is some other example some people give that that is given in the what we call the bhashyam of this text also. So there also it is given that a person, we say that we said that this person takes meals only once during the day, only once in a day. So you can easily infer that he does not take meals during the night time, right? Or if the reverse thing happens, say we accept the person is not speaking the truth. So we say this person does not eat food at all. But after a few days, we find that this person has gained a lot of weight. So we catch him in a lie. Now, if he's not, he's saying, I don't eat food during the day, but that means he's eating food at night. So that is another way of saying that. So in this Arthapatti Praman, we can make a prediction of both something that is true and something that is false also. From the from the effect, you can infer back to the cause. That is how it works in Arthapatti, right? And then as I said, sambhav also. So sambhav, I said, is when you are examining a probability. So when sambhav is examined, then anything that is a probability that you can manifest, like if someone is a very uh, learned his subject very very ably under a teacher, then you say that when that person will be questioned about his knowledge, he can quickly answer. The question has not been put up to him, but you are confident that since that person has studied, then he will be able to give an answer. Or I give the example of the idli. So in this sambhav also, that sambhav anuman is also a means of knowing, but it again, what are we doing? We are making an estimation, anuman, right? We are making an anuman only, that this thing can happen and thus it happens. So it is basically shraddha based. It is basically based on faith that this is possible, and so it can be done. When it will be done, whether it will not done or it will not be done, does not matter, but it can be done. That is the key word. So that is what we are talking about, abhav. And then similarly for abhav, for sambhav, for abhav again, if you look at, then abhav also, you are making again an anumanam. When you're telling that person to go there, in fact, you might also not know that whether in the kitchen what color of pots are available. So you don't want that particular red one. So you say any other color will do. You bring some other pot. So he will bring the blue, green, red, whichever is available. And that person also, he will have to make that anumanam when he reaches there, that this is the red one. So I don't have to take this. I will take the other one. So you are making an estimation in all these cases. So we say that anuman and all these can be uh, uh, collapsed into the three that we have called sambhav, abhav, and arthapati. They can be collapsed into uh, anumanam, and then of course ati here into shabd praman, right? So in this way we understand all these four. So then now comes the reverse thing, that then the Purv Pakshi, or the one who's put the proposition, will say, he will say that does that mean that these four are not pramanams at all? Are they not means of knowledge at all? Hmm. So he puts up his objection there. So we'll just have a look at that one. Third verse. So arthapatti apramanam anekantikvat. So he says arthapatti is apramanam, not a pramanam. It is not a right means of knowledge. Anekantikvad, because you can have different inferences from a arthapatti pramanam. So if we are looking at an effect, then we can have different cause, because just at the example that we looked at, what was that? We saw rain, we saw water being flood water being there on the streets. So we say that water is there because there was rain last night, right? So most cases it will be true. So here also, if you can read here, it's given, if there is no cloud, there will be no rain. From this we are said to presume that if there is a cloud, there will be rain. But it often happens that a cloud is not followed by rain. So presumption does not always lead to certainty. So this if you are talking about looking at a cloud and there will be rain, actually this example is more of the category of sambhav. But if we just include under arthapatti also, then we can take the one about the water being there on the street. So that water, what does it indicate? It can indicate rain, but it can also indicate there is some water source nearby that has leaked. There is a house nearby which has some water, which is when it is wasted, then it is sent out into the drain. Maybe the drain got blocked, right? So in this way, different ways that water can be there. So the answer we see later, it will be seen that if that is the case, then we can always examine more to see that if that rain, if we are assuming rain, then that water could have come from a nearby source. So a part of the road only will be wet. The whole road will not be wet. So or if there is only a part of the road is wet, then we can easily infer that it has leaked from a certain place only, right? So if we do the proper examination, then obviously that arthapatti pramanam will always not have that property which is mentioned here, anekantikatvat. Anek. It will not have anek results, different kinds of conclusions, because through arthapatti, it is of course possible. It is of course possible that it can have different results, but through more examination we can reach. So we just look at into the next sutra for that. So what? So this basically the Purva Paksha is saying that should we not then discard Arthapatti as a pramanam, because it can lead to multiple conclusions, right? Multiple conclusions. So what does this say? The fourth sutra. Anarthapattau, arthapatti abhimana. So if we say, if there is any uncertainty to your supposing that that presumption is not really so. So anarthapatti. So if we if we are saying that there is a cloud and there will be no rain, from this we are entitled to presume that if there is rain, there must have been a cloud. But if you pretend to presume that if there is a cloud, there will be rain, then your so-called presumption will be invalid one. So basically we are talking about probabilities, or if we are talking about, as we said in the reverse sense, that something you have observed and you are examining the source, then you will have to understand that on further examination, that arthapatti, the conclusion that you have reached from your arthapatti pramana, it can be clarified. So what is the process there? The process simply is there. You look at an effect, and from that you try to examine all possibilities which could be the cause of that, right? So like in the case of water, you can say that there is another source of water from which this water came onto the road. What is the another source of water? That we can examine. That we can say that it could be the rain in the clouds, it might be leaking from some pipe or some whatever other variations. It can be a river that is flowing nearby and it has flooded, and so on. So through Arthapatti, if there is any doubt or any lack of clarity, then that lack of clarity can be understood by taking all the possibilities, and then you negate the ones that are less probable or not probable, and you will finally reach your conclusion, right? In some cases, Arthapatti is very sure that you can say that, like say in a chemical reaction, you are looking at a reaction where you are burning two gases, and you find at the end water is produced. So you know that it is hydrogen and oxygen. You're sure about that. And similar for most of the reactions, whatever you look at. So when you do that, then anything can have a certain cause, and it can also have uncertain cause. If there is uncertain, the process is examine all the possibilities and eliminate the ones less possible, right? So in this way, you can go through the anarthapatti abhimanat. Whatever you have abhiman in, whatever your own intellect is telling you, you look at all the possibilities and then you can through words. Abhiman is when you something uh, you interpret in your way, right? So in this way, you can use your interpretation in the proper manner. So then, uh, what does he say in the next one? Pratished apramanyat cha anekantikva. So he says the objection itself we say is invalid because it leads to uncertainty. So pratished apramanyat cha anekantikva. So he says this objection that you are given, that objection itself is invalid because this objection leads to uncertainty. So when we are making an objection regarding the invalidity of uh, of this arthapati, then let us say that if you are saying you are giving an example of a cause that is different from what was named from your original inference, then that means that there is vyabhichar, there is anekantikvad, there can be different conclusions in the mind of the objector. The objector himself is not aware of all the different causes, right? So if someone is saying that you are saying from this cause, this effect, this cause came about, तो जो अभी आपके पास है वो कहां से आया, उससे आया, लेकिन उसकी जगह कोई और होना चाहिए. That means he is not fully aware of all the possibilities. So when you know all the possibilities, then you can easily come to a conclusion regarding arthapatti. So the next one is these 3 or 4 sutras are only saying the same thing. They are just expanding on some of the details. स्वतत् pramanya va anarthapatti apramanyam. So he says that whatever was your nishedh vakya, whatever was tat apramanye va tat apramanye arthapatti pramanyam. So when he says whatever is your nishedh vakya, then that you cannot prove, that you cannot ever prove, that through arthapatti a conclusion cannot be made. So when we talk about arthapatti, then we are what the process we have defined. Then if someone is raising an objection, then that objection, he says, you cannot give any objection in which that arthapatti cannot be accepted as a means of knowledge, right? So only what is our position? We accept totally that arthapatti is a means of knowledge, but we want to include it under anumanam. We want to include under anuman pramanam. So that is the process. That is the position he takes. So then we go on to the next one. Seventh. Next we take up abhav. So he says, na abhav pramanyam prameya siddhi. So some say that non-existence is not a means of right knowledge because there is no object which is known by it. So what he's saying basically is, you are saying abhav. Abhav means what? Something is not there at all. Something is not there at all. So if you are talking about something that is not there at all, then how can be a means of right knowledge? जब कुछ है ही नहीं तो उसको कैसे जानने के बारे में आप बात कर सकते? How can you talk about abhav as a means of knowledge when it is the object itself is not available? So I'll just move on to the next one quickly. Nothing much to say here. So what does it say? Lakshiteshu alakshana lakshitatvat lakshitanam tat prameya siddhi. So he says non-existence or whatever is there. So when we are talking about abhav, then that non-existence, it serves to mark out an object lakshiteshu, by an object unmarked by the mark, alakshiteshu. Tad lakshitanam tad prameya siddhi. In this way, we are able to know about the object. So if it's appearing confusing, I'll just clarify. So there is something that is called a lakshita, and there is called an alakshita. So some in every object there are certain properties, right? Through that property we can indicate that object, that is lakshita. And then there are certain objects that have multiple properties, or there can be one property in its different forms, right? So if there is there is an object which has one shape, the other object is the same shape but a different color. Then another object which has the same shape and then different size, right? So in this way all these variations can be there. Then what is the second kind? Difference in color. We saw in the example of the pot. So there can be different colors, alag alag rang ho sakte hain. So in that way you can distinguish. So lakshiteshu alakshitesha. So what through the observable properties, whatever properties available, you can indicate some property that is not indicated, right? uh, uh, within the within the indicated ones, lakshitana tat prameya siddhi. In that way you can know the object to be known. So what is that? So as I said, someone wants to bring a pot which is not blue, is written here. So the absence of blueness is a mark which will enable him to mark out the particular pot he wants to and bring, and to exclude the other pots which are blue. So thus an object may be known through the non-existence of its mark. So basically what we are saying here is abhav is not total absence, right? Abhav is not total absence. It is presence of an object, but absence of certain conditions, absence of certain properties, absence of certain states. So there can be different states of an object, there can be different sizes, shapes. So based on those, we differentiate an object. So we say that when we are talking about bring me a book that is at least 100 pages long. So you will remove all the books that are less than 100 pages. Go to my library and bring the books. So you can see the racks around my library. You can see the books here. So if you want to select the ones that are smaller, the thinner ones, that you'll have to choose out and bring, and the others you'll have to leave out. So that is the indication there. Lakshiteshu alakshitatva. So that is basically the system or method of by which you can use abhav. Abhav is not total lack or total what we call non-existence, right? Non-existence is not the correct word for abhav. Non-existence of a certain particular part. So that is how we can use abhav to know about an object, to indicate an object, to bring an object to us, and so on, right? So that is the basic trend. So he is saying basically that when you're talking about abhav, we say that you have to include it under uh, we have to include it under the same category of pramanams, that is anuman, the first four that we have said. So out of that, if you are talking about anuman, then we can include there. But it is indeed a means of knowing, right? It is a different shade of things. So there might be if you are using any say color catalog, right? So basically it is a collection of colors. It is a collection of colors, but that can have different shades, right? It can have different shades. So do you call all of those colors that are there in the catalog as a catalog? No, there are different shades. So you can create different bunches, you can create different groups, you can create a group of blue. So that will include all the different kinds of blue, light blue, dark blue, blue bordering on purple, and so on. So in this way, uh, you can indicate those groups, right? So when you can, but always you can collapse them together into a single group, that this is a color catalog, right? A color catalog, a catalog of blue colors, catalog of green colors, and so on. You can always separate. That does not mean the catalog of blue colors or the catalog of green colors, it does not exist, but it can always be collapsed into one catalog. So the position taken up by Nyaya clearly here is that we accept that abhav is a means of knowing, or all the remaining four that we've talked about. And but even though we accept it, then we have to keep it clear in our mind that they are means of knowing, but we are collapsing it under the previously mentioned four means of knowing, that there are mainly four pramanams only. So he expands this further there about abhav being not non-existence, but existence of a certain object in different forms, right? So what does it say? We look into the ninth sutra. So asatyarthe na abhava 229. So it's written 219. Keep that in mind. 229. This is 229. Second chapter, part 2, ninth sutra. So asatya arthe na abhava iti chet anya lakshana upapatte. So if you are saying that talking about abhav, then it is not in asatya arthe. It is not non-existence or absence of something. It is iti chet anya lakshana upapatte. There is a different indication. There is a different mark for that. There is a different indicator for that, right? So it can, that different indicator can be in the terms of when we are talking about gunas, there are basically 5 gunas: shabd, sparsh, roop, ras, rang. Shabd, sparsh, roop, ras, gandh, sorry. So all these 5 are there. So using these 5, you can differentiate a particular object, right? But also within these there are so many variations. So if within roop itself there can be forms, different forms, size, shapes, and within roop also there can be different colors. So roop is used in both senses, right? So using those you can always separate. So you can say two objects, all qualities are same, but one has one has a good smell, other has a bad smell. So you can easily tell. So go to my room, get the perfume and not the non-perfume. So you open both bottles, you see which one is smelling good, the other one has gone bad. So it is not even worth being called a perfume. So that is why that is how you eliminate. So asatyarthe na bhav iti chet anya lakshana upapatte is the clear definition of abhav for you, for this, for our nyaya term. So the term in nyaya that we'll use for abhav pramanam, even though it is merged under anuman, it is in not in asatya arthe or non-existence, but it is anya lakshana upapatte. It is in the in the sense of having a different indicator, right? So that is how we indicate abhav. So how we use that? This is mentioned in the next one. This is a continuation of the previous one. So 2 to 10. So what does it say? Tat siddhehe lakshiteshu hetuhu. So though a mark may distinguish the object which is marked, the non-existence or absence of the mark cannot, some say, distinguish the object which is not marked. So what he's saying is, this is basically, you can say, a sort of objection also you can say. So if a blue pot is there, it is distinguished by the blueness which is its mark. But how can we, he said, distinguish an unmarked object by the non-existence of the mark which it does not possess? So what he's basically saying is something we have just discussed also. So he's saying that you can say that this object is blue and this object is green and this is red. So you can separate their existence by saying bring the blue one and not the other ones, or bring the ones that are not blue. So when you say bring the others which are not blue, then you are using abhav. If you are saying bring the one that is blue, then we call it bhava, existence. So that is there. But he says ki how if some object is it does not have any color. So no lakshana. So there might be some objects like if you say water. So actually it does not have a color. So how do you distinguish? So as I said earlier also, there the thing is to use the other gunas, right? So one guna might have different shades, but if there is one object that is having does not have a particular guna, so then then you have to look at the other gunas, right? So if you remember from the five tattvas, so if you are talking about akash, vayu, agni, jal and prithvi, then we should remember that the 5 gunas, they increase in complexity from akash to prithvi, or you can say in the reverse, they decrease. So in prithvi you have all the 5 gunas. In prithvi you have shabd, sparsh, roop, ras, gandha. Then when you go again on to the next one, which is jalam. Jal does not have which property? Manisha, can you tell? जल में क्या नहीं होता? शब्द स्पर्श रूप रस गंध में से गंध. Yeah. So gandhavan prithvi is the definition of prithvi, in fact. So Gandha is not there, right? So in this way, you go down, go along the scale. Then again, when you reach Agni, then it will not have uh, uh, it will not have shabdas. It will have only shabda, sparsha, and roop, rasa and gandha, taste and smell. It will not have, right, and so on for the rest. So in Akash only shabda is there. So all these, all of the five states of matter that we call the five states of matter, the solid, liquid, gas, energy, and finally space. So all of these five states of matter, they have increasing level of properties, right? So there might be some of them that will not have a certain property. So how do you indicate? It's simple only that you look at the other properties that are there, right? So just bring the next sutra on screen. So 2 to 11. Na lakshan avastita apeksha siddhi. So he says this is not so. Na lakshan avastita apeksha. Okay. Sorry, there was a call, so because of that. अभी आ रही है ना क्लब हाउस में आवाज, मनीषा? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So when we are talking about properties, then he's saying na lakshan avasthita apeksha siddhe. So you make a comparative analysis. That is the how we understand. Hmm. So when we are talking about properties, then if one property is not available in all its different shades, we look at the other properties, and through that we make a distinction, and that in that way we can use abhava to our advantage of making an informed choice about what we are supposed to do. So that is how we understand abhav, and we use it, right? So what are the kinds of abhava? So that is defined in the next one. So this we have done in Vedanta also. This we have done in the Atmabodh, Tattvabodh, also in the other classes. So we'll just look at it quickly. So very important one we'll be using later on also. Prag utpattehe abhava upapattehe cha. This is the 12th sutra, 2 to 12. So prak utpattehe abhav upapattehe cha. So when he says that prag utpatte, where before something is produced, then we use non-existence as a mark antecedent to the production of a thing. So if before something is produced, like this is used with the example of the idli or anything else that we are about to make, then we can say that uh, of whatever is available to us or whatever is potential within us, we can produce something, right? We can produce something. So when we say about uh, abhav, then what are the two kinds of abhav? Let us say there is a object. We say the common example, we use a pot, a jar, whatever. So when there is an object that is composed of certain elements, then that element, then the object, after being bringing all the elements together, that object is produced. An object is always a sum of different elements and arranged in a certain shape, size, etc. Right? So that is how it is produced. But before it was produced, there is non-existence of that object. There is non-existence of that object. That is what we call prag abhav. Before it was, before it has come into existence, before it is produced, it was non-existent, right? So then only the composing elements were there, right? So this body also has prag abhav. Anyone remembers the definition of uh, what prag abhav is in the case of the body? Pragabhav is when we were not yet born. So birth is the ending of Praga Bhav. So before, so Praga Bhav ka ant is the ending. So what is birth defined as? Birth is defined as Praga Bhav ka ant. So the end of Praga Bhav, the end of prior non-existence, prior non-existence. So prior non-existence is Praga Bhav. Similarly, death is again Pradvansa Bhav ka Arambha, the beginning of Pradvansa Bhav. So what is Pradvansa Bhav? In Pradvansa Bhav, something has been destroyed, the pot has been destroyed. So now it no longer exists. So after it has been destroyed, there is the non-existence of the pot. That is Pradvansa Bhav. After destruction, Pradvans Abhav. Right? So these, so he says that we can, we perceive the non-existence as a mark antecedent to the production of a thing. So before something is produced or after something is produced and will end, so we say that yes, by the evening this idli will become non-existent. Why? Because it has gone down into my tummy, right? मेरे पेट में चली गई है, so it will be a pradvansa bhav, it will be not there, right? So in this way, the praga bhav and praga bhav and pradvansa bhav can indicate the non-existence of an object, and it can indicate the object itself, right? So the thing was there yesterday. So if you are saying that there are I kept 5 apples on the table, and we use this for a different kind of logic, but still okay. So some people were invited and they were told that you can take 1 apple each. So we say 5, no one should go out. So at the door it is checked. Everyone is taken 1 apple or have they taken more? So after all 5 have gone, we see the table and there is no more left. What does that mean? That means all have taken their apples. No one neglected to take their apple. Right. So in this way, that abhav is there, and we can understand. We were able to understand it by the existence at the time before that. Before that, there was existence. There was a time. So that so here you can take it to the second, in the second case, that of Pradvansabha. So basically, when we are talking about using non-existence as a mark of understanding the an object or a thing, then it has to come under the two categories of praga bhav and pradvansa bhav, right? And then next section, what we are talking about, when we are talking, we're going to the 13th sutra. Then this is about the nature of sound. So this will continue up to the 21st sutra, 21st and maybe a part of the 22nd also, you can say. So these 9 to 10 sutras that will come up next will examine, is sound eternal or is it not? क्या क्या जो शब्द है वो नित्य है या अनित्य है? शब्द is nitya or anitya. So before we enter into that, we just have to take a slight detour. We have to understand slightly what is the nature of sound, or what is the nature of eternal things, right? So what is eternal? We say that nitya only is something that we call the sole reality or Brahman, or Satchit Anand Rupa Brahman. Something that is always existent, something that is always conscious, and something that is infinite. So from that, within that are all possible, all possibilities exist within that. That, like, I am a person, I am a conscious entity. So if I neglect my body, beyond that I'm total pure consciousness. So I, as a as a conscious entity, within me are infinite possibilities. Those possibilities can manifest or they cannot also manifest. So when we are talking about those many possibilities, uh, what do we say is existing and what is not, right? So when we are talking about a certain, I say that I have the capability of building a house, right? So till that house is built, it is only as a possibility, it is within me. Then what does it happen? It is indifferent from me. That possibility is not differentiable within me. Similarly, we say for all the different parmanus, when they exist in that unmanifest state, then they are one with that soul reality. You cannot differentiate the Parmanu there from the soul reality. It is there in potential form, but it can manifest. So whether that house will be built or not, that I can say for sure only when the manifestation comes into place, right? So something that is uh, there, as we say, what we call, I have to have the raw material to build something. So all those raw materials should be available to me for building a house. So the essence should be always available with me. Essence should always be available with me, but that essence itself I cannot call the object. I cannot call the raw materials like sand, bricks, etc., and whatever of the wood, etc., we use for making a house as a house, right? They are only essence. So essence is eternal. Essence will always remain. Essence is eternal. Essence जो है, जो हमारा असली स्रोत है, हमारा जो source है, that is always eternal, nityam. But the manifestations of it, when they manifest, they will be non-eternal. जब वो बन जाएंगे तो वो अनित्य होंगे हमेशा. That is the position taken up by Nyaya. I'll repeat that before we begin the next class, because today we don't have enough time, and maybe I'll just expand on it. Then we'll go into these sutras, because then you'll be able to understand the terms that are being mentioned. There are slightly unique terms. Like, so if you look at 2113, that's on the screen on you. Vimarsh hetutva anuyoge cha fi pratipatte sanshaya. So if you don't understand anuyoga, then you will not be able to make sense of it. So I'll just explain those terms and then we'll move forward with these sutras, right? So I think we'll conclude for today. And if anyone has any questions, any quick question or two, we can see. Anyone wants to ask something, any doubts, or maybe something I said wrong you don't agree with, anything you want to say? Manisha, George, on Clubhouse, Venkatji is with us. No? All fine?
All fine.
All fine. Okay. Okay, then let's wind up the class for today. Thank you all so much for coming. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you, and all of you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week ahead. सबका खूब शुभ जाए आगे का समय. Till we meet next week. Goodbye. Thank you so much all for coming.